Welcome to our November edition of Local Image. The holiday season kicks off this month with the traditional American celebration of Thanksgiving. Today we'll take a closer look at what it really means to be thankful and how during what can be a very stressful time of year for many, the idea that being thankful can help us to cope better. I'll have that studio interview right after this Local Image story shared by producer Scott Jensen.
What is the meaning of illness? You know, how does it define us? How do we deal with illness?
Illness and gifts. Two opposing words and a fitting title for a roundtable discussion hosted by City Gates.
We sent out a call for a gathering, and guess who showed up? You all. This one is meaning to address matters of health and wellness, to speak with each other, to listen to each other, searching for well-being and wholeness in the work that we do, in our relationships that are important for us, and in our own personal life. We're actually using a biblical story as one of the case studies. So it's a story about a man who's been paralyzed for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and knew that he had been there a long time, he said to him, "Do you want to be made well?" What strikes you now in this hearing?
The panelists, moderators, and participants engage with the story.
What happens when wishing gets paralyzed in an individual?
Some have extensive medical backgrounds.
I'm going to get the MRI, I'm going to find out what, as much as I can about why they're this way.
Others have professional experience in psychiatry, natural wellness, or theology.
I think we have something to learn from that history too.
All stand on a foundation of immeasurable personal experience, including Reverend John Weborg, who was diagnosed with polio at age 15.
They cleared out one entire floor for nothing but polio patients and put 3 of us in a room. And I had a roommate who gave up, would not follow any therapeutic instructions between the times of physical therapy, and he did not walk. This business of do you want is a big issue.
John had complete paralysis from his hips down when his doctor posed him a question. Do you want to get out of bed?
I don't remember if I said yes or I don't know. I wished I remembered my response, but I know what he did. He and his partner got on one side of me, on either side of me, and stood me up. And for a split second, they let loose of me, and I collapsed. Except they caught me, because I had absolutely no strength whatsoever. And they put me back in bed. And he said, "Thank you, I'll see you tomorrow morning." That was it.
John learned to walk again with the help of physical therapy and family support. But it wasn't until many years later that he fully realized the significance of his doctor's question.
In sum, promise does not only consist in sentences of intent waiting fulfillment. Promise takes on a kind of transformative and fulfilling power the moment they're spoken. Now my question is, was Dr. Harrington's question an implied promise? And if so, was it a transformative moment? So, do you want to get out of bed? Was his question an implied promise and a transformative moment? That's what I have lived with now all my life, is the nature of that question as an implied promise. And after reading Oswald Bayer, I'm wondering if it was not even a transforming moment for me.
Jesus said to him, "Stand up, take your mat and walk." At once the man was made well, and he took up his mat and began to walk.
The group taps into further topics, nuances are explored, the dialogue crescendos. And I am left with the notion that while illness and wellness can be independent of each other, illness and promise can be a gift.
That story leads nicely into a studio interview on the topic of thankfulness. My guest, Dr. Diane Hovey, through her practice in Vadnais Heights, helps her clients find practical and down-to-earth ways to address their specific life challenges. Welcome, Diane.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here today. Can we start by telling folks a little bit more about the work you do? What kinds of patients do you see on a regular basis, and what do you talk about?
Well, I'm a marriage and family therapist, and I see a whole variety of issues that come in. I work a lot with couples.
Okay.
And then other issues such as depression and anxiety, adjusting to chronic illness, disability, loss of jobs, infidelity, you name it, whatever people are dealing with on a daily basis.
So do you sense that during the holidays, and as we get into the holidays here with the Thanksgiving holiday coming up this month, an increase in the stress that people are feeling when the holidays approach?
Oh, certainly. People always seem to get more stressed out at holiday seasons.
And so with Thanksgiving being kind of the kickoff to the holiday season in my mind, the word Thanksgiving, how is it, or can it be, where being thankful can really help us in these stressful times?
Oh, definitely. There's been a lot of research on thankfulness. Harvard has put out a little report that ties together research from around the country, and there's no doubt that an attitude of gratitude or thankfulness very much contributes to improved well-being.
And what kinds of what shape does being thankful take? I mean, what are some examples do you think in terms of being thankful?
Well, being thankful can be on the practical and very basic ways. It's learning to pay attention. It's learning to pay attention to the little things, the everyday things. For instance, even let's say you're a guest at Thanksgiving, being thankful for the invitation. Being willing to lend a helping hand, bringing an extra dish to share. If you're the hostess, being thankful for what your guests bring, even if it's their laughter or a bowl of potatoes.
Okay,
it doesn't
very good.
matter.
Yeah.
Actually I brought an illustration.
Yeah.
Would that be helpful
Absolutely.
to show here? This is something that was done when these were two drawings that were done when my daughter was in kindergarten. They were done by a friend of hers, and this happens to be her in both of my daughter in both of the pictures and her friend in both of the pictures. And the first one was drawn the first month of school, and this other picture was drawn 5 months later. Well, when it comes to little children, size is everything. So if we look at these illustrations, what do we see in this first picture? We see the wheelchair and the eensy-weensy little baby doll.
Okay.
So, and then when we look at this 5 months later, the wheelchair is still there, but the girl has become the same size as her friend. So the girl, my daughter. And you can see what's the attention she has paid to. She even has a bow on her hair. She has bows in her clothes. The attention is no longer on the wheelchair. Well, this is the same way we do it in our daily lives. We pay attention to the gifts we wrap as opposed to the gifts of ourselves, the gifts we bring into our relationship, who we are, what we want to become. And those are the things that we need to focus on. And if we stop letting marketing and other little things detract us in the short term, and we're able to focus on that which is important to us and valuable to us, especially our relationships.
So just being, like you said, more mindful, being aware when you're going into these situations that, you know, you're not going to be able to maybe please everybody, but find those things where you know you can either make that person happy or the things that make you happy that are more reasonable and not such high expectations.
Well, focusing on self and what we bring.
Okay.
As opposed to whether or not it's the perfect pie our place setting is just right. I've even worked with people in the hospital. One year, a woman's son had almost died from something quite serious. And she was very concerned about how she was going to carry out her family traditions, do the decorating the way she always did it, you know, do the pie the way she always did it. And it's those times that bring us back to, that's not what's most important. Those things are fine, but they're not, they shouldn't be the primary focus.
Mm-hmm. I want to switch gears a little bit. So many of us are involved in kind of the social networking these days on Facebook and what have you. And I have seen in the past couple of years friends or acquaintances who seem to put out kind of a cry for help on Facebook, where they, you know, I wear this mask, I seem happy on the outside, but I'm really struggling internally. I don't know if I can make it. And I often, if I see that, I don't really know what should I say? How do I respond? Is there kind of something you recommend for folks who come across that when it's this typed message and you don't want to necessarily let it just go by without something in response?
Right, that's a very difficult one too. Usually these people probably are at the point they should be seeking help when they're making a public cry for help. And that could be a message you give. It looks like, I would pick up the phone though.
Yeah. But what if you don't really know this person, you know, really well? Just, you know how you can be Facebook friends with so many people now, but you can sense or feel that this person is struggling. Is there just maybe some words of advice that you would share with them on a post?
What a difficult one.
Yeah.
I'd urge them to seek help.
Yeah.
To reach out to resources, talk to friends or family. What I really see in my practice is times when even couples texting to each other when they're in the same house. So we are extremely well connected these days, mm-hmm. but in that connection we are also becoming more disconnected. So I'd recommend people spending time, more FaceTime, talk time with one another. And the more people spend time within on their problems, the less time they're able to practice any sort of mindfulness, mm-hmm. any sort of awareness that helps them get back to that ability to be thankful and aware of what's going on in our day-to-day lives.
Are there some real hands-on tips that you give to your patients that you say, go practice these things? Is there anything like that you can share? Yeah, one easy exercise I have, I combined to a poem by Mary Oliver. A couple fragments are there from that poem is, it doesn't have to be the blue iris. It could be a weed in a vacant lot, or even a few stones. Just pay attention. This isn't a contest, but a doorway into thankfulness. And so with my couples or clients, I'll say, it doesn't have to be a dozen roses. It could be helping with the dishes. It could be, and so I'll give them this exercise of what, it doesn't have to be, what could it be? Mm-hmm. And so it gives them a dialogue to start out discussing with each other what this might be. And how do they look at these different ways, even with our children. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So are you looking forward to Thanksgiving this year? Practicing your thankfulness?
Oh, yes. I always look forward to the time we can celebrate with each other.
And your practice is in Vadnais Heights?
It's in Vadnais Heights, right in the corner of 35E and County Road E, so it's real easy to get to.
All right. Well, I am very thankful that you joined us here on the program today, and I wish you a great holiday season ahead.
My pleasure. Thank you, Judy.
All right. Now, let's jump to a completely different topic, one that takes us to a summer event focused on a winter sport. On Location's Nicholas Anderson brings us a very close look in this local image story.
Today is our Hall of Fame tournament. We have that every year. That started in the early 90s. I think it was 1991. it's a summer tournament. You wouldn't expect ski jumping in the summer, but we have 2 summer jumps, and we have a pretty good turnout of kids from Chicago, Eau Claire, Coleraine. So it's a lot of Midwest kids coming through the Central Division.
The funnest thing is going far, and it's just a really good feeling because not a lot of people know what that feeling's like to be in the air for, you know.
To actually fly.
Yeah, it's
adrenaline rush.
Even when you're up on our small hill, the 10-meter hill, when you're standing there and you got your hands on that bar and you're getting ready to go, you know, there's this point where you say, should I do it or shouldn't I? And when they push off and go, then it's an adrenaline rush you wouldn't believe.
So we're out here a lot, and it's kind of where everything began. Like winter nights, like skiing out here when we were a lot younger. It's just kind of, we're all skiing together, and it's kind of neat to see how we've all progressed and how we look back at this place now and see all the other little kids that were just like us.
Also, preparing the hills to ski. We spend a lot of hours packing, shoveling snow, and so on.
The club, St. Paul Ski Club, started 1885. This hill here was spearheaded by a man named Tom Harrington. It's actually called Harrington Hill. And he did a lot for the sport of ski jumping, and the way he designed these hills is you have to jump just the right way, otherwise you just don't get the distance. And that's just the way he designed it, so it really works out well, because the kids get to learn the fundamentals the right way, and then they can really show off their skills on other hills and throughout the central region.
Definitely I would recommend trying. It's a lot of fun. It's certainly not a dangerous sport despite what it looks like.
There's so many people that think it's so dangerous, but it's really not.
From this little hill here in Maplewood, you can get up to the international level, and that's an important part.
You can come out and try ski jumping. Do it.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
You come out here, you pay $50 a year, you get to ski all year round. That's our club and equipment fee. As for small children, you don't have to buy equipment. You come out here, we provide equipment for you. So for $50 a year, you can use this space year round.
Hey, Grandma and Grandpa! Hey, Mom.
My next studio guest is an aspiring filmmaker who's been working very hard at his craft. His work has brought rewards both personally and publicly, including 2 National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences Regional Student Television Awards for Excellence. He's Joe Carlini, and he's here to tell us about his journey and his current film project, a full-length feature film called My Senior Year. Welcome, Joe. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you.
You're no stranger to these parts here at our studios. You've been involved with community television for how long now?
I think I started in 2006, and you know, it was a blessing for me. I always kind of wanted to go into production and wanted to make movies, and really started learning the in and outs here. And then I ended up going to film school at MCTC in Minneapolis and got my associate's degree there, and my bachelor's degree in Wisconsin, both in film and television. So yeah, it all kind of started here, you know, kind of got myself acquainted with equipment and editing and shooting, so it was a great experience just having you guys here. Yeah,
well, it's been great to see you around the studios here working so hard, and you've got a lot to be proud of. You just won another award, like I just mentioned, on the Open. How does that make you feel to be recognized at such a high level, I guess?
It's good. You know, you put a lot of work into the different projects, and it's a lot of you know, you don't get a lot of pat in the backs. It's a lot of times where you're spending hours upon hours by yourself working on a project. So, you know, to get recognized for, you know, doing good work is always a plus.
Now, before we talk about this feature-length film, tell us a little bit about some of the other projects that you've worked on that have led up to this.
Okay. Well, yeah, I have a documentary I'm working on also currently. Had a kind of a premiere for, it's called Second Chance U. It's a basketball documentary. And that film details the history of the MCTC basketball team. They were one of the best junior college teams in the whole country, went to the national championship game in '09, and then 2010 the program was terminated. So there was a lot of politics and just wrongness, you know, that the basketball players in the community dealt with. So that's a project I've been working on and off for the past couple of years. But you know, I've done a lot of short films,
Right.
so just excited that I was able to save up and able to make this feature happen.
So tell us about the feature. It's my senior year, and is it based on your own personal experience? You graduated from Woodbury High School, right?
You know, it's all mostly fictional. That's all the films I usually come up with. But it really dealt with, for me, personally, I knew a couple of people that committed suicide when I was younger, in my sophomore year, my junior year, my senior year. And that's kind of the overall lasting impression of the film, is that you can overcome anything. So you know, initially it's set up like a comedy, and it's a homeschooler son going to school for the first time, and he's been been homeschooled by his dad, who's a semi-driver, most of his upbringing, and it's kind of a girl that catches his interest, and she's kind of the spark and reason for him wanting to go to school so bad. And you know, it starts off as a comedy, then kind of goes more into a romance and mixes in with the drama, and ends with a good message. And yeah, like I said, it's, you know, the message is anything that happens in life, you can overcome it.
Well, when is the film due to come out? In the early part of the new year, or?
It's a tough call because a lot of you know, film festivals are very particular on where you have the premiere. So I got to kind of research that and figure out, you know, what we're going to do with the film. But I would definitely expect it to be sometime early next year, 2013, and we're in post right now. But yeah, I would expect it in 2013 for sure.
So all of the shooting is essentially done at this point. No more extras are needed.
Yeah, well, pretty much all the principal photography is done. We had a scene about a week and a half ago that we shot, and that was kind of the last, one of the last shots in the whole movie. But we had close to 500 extras at Woodbury High School, which was amazing. To have that many people and just really was great for the movie.
For those of our viewers who don't know, your mom is Jody Ritaka, who hosts a show here, Inside Healthcare, and she's got an extensive history working in broadcast and has worked on her own documentary. So I imagine some of this, kind of the bug hit you at a very young age because of your mom, maybe?
Well, I come from a television background.
Okay.
My grandpa was a pioneer in television, and you know, he was just a great role model, as well as my mom. And my dad was in TV for 20 years, and my mom's been in TV for over 20 years. So just kind of my overall family. You know, my uncles are in TV, and my cousins in TV. So it is a different medium, but a lot of it, you know, comes down to storytelling, and that's, you know, the basis of, you know, visual communications.
Absolutely. Well, you've got a great history to work from, for sure, with your family background. So where can people find out more about your latest film project and more about you?
We have a Facebook page. I have a Facebook page too. It's my senior year. I think we're the only one, so we're trying to get more likes, so definitely, you know, people can look at our, you know, the latest with the movie there. I also have my own page on Facebook. But yeah, we have a trailer up on Vimeo and YouTube, and we'll probably have an official trailer within the next month or so. And we did a music video too, which I was excited about, which is kind of like the official music video for my senior year. Kind of like Adele, I guess, with the new James Bond's movie, but we did it before I knew that was coming out. But yeah, you know, it's going to be good for the movie, and just any exposure you can get, you know, I'm all for it.
Well, we're very happy for you and excited for you, and you're doing great things, and more good things will be ahead of you. So congratulations on this film. We look forward to seeing it when it's released.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Nice to see you again. Say hi to Mom.
I will.
And speaking of award winners, we recently celebrated public access producers and volunteers during the annual SEC Excellence in Community Television Awards held inside the Vadnais Heights Commons. Here are some highlights. Well, that was one very fun night, and we congratulate and thank all of those who keep community television so vital here in our Northeast communities. And one final announcement before I close out today's show, a bit of good news to share. Our own government television network operation was recently awarded the Excellence in Government Programming Award from the National Association of Telecommunications Officers and Advisors during a ceremony held in New Orleans. That award recognizes that GTN is top in the nation when it comes to the programming we offer to viewers and the many community partnerships we share here in these Northeast suburbs. So we have a lot to be thankful for, to be sure. And as always, I do thank you for watching Local Image.